What should you major in if you want to work at Google? It's a question we at Accepted get all the time from college applicants, and I bet you know the answer already. What you'd really like to know is, what else? Because there has to be a what else. In this video, I'm going to go through a list of 4 key things you should be thinking about if working at Google is on your radar. And if you stick around to the end, some tips on how to interview well and secure that offer. First, let's get back to the question of what to major in. I asked a Google recruiter and their response was kind of an indicator. They said, "That's the kind of question I'm going to outsource to Gemini." So yes, one of the best majors to consider if you want to work at Google is, ding, 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 computer science. Another of my contacts at Google, this time in HR, told me that computer science skills are in demand for Google's growth areas, anything having to do with AI or machine learning. And a current college student who just landed a coding internship at Google this summer said he and all the other interns in his cohort were majoring in, you guessed it, computer science. So if you look at the Google internship site, they also encourage people majoring in linguistics, statistics, biostatistics, applied mathematics, operations research, economics, natural sciences, or related technical fields to apply. They're also interested that the person has experience in one area of computer science, such as human-computer interactions or deep learning, etc. But this is, of course, not the full picture. Google has many other roles to fill. Just take a look at the Google career page. There are sales, marketing, advertising, communications, UX, finance, legal, business, research, sustainability, security, even building maintenance positions that don't necessarily require a specific major. So that leads us to key factor number 2 for working at Google, evidence of experience and impact. Former Google recruiter Farah Sargi said they're looking not just for degrees, they're looking for the person who has the skills for the role, the best fit for the team. My HR contact told me that the Google culture is very impact-oriented. Successful candidates need to show examples of how they have performed, demonstrable through internships, certifications, projects, or products. And many times, developing those skills and that track record means a circuitous route to arrive at Google. A UX research lead I spoke with recently went to a liberal arts college and majored in history. That's where she developed what she says is an essential skill to work at Google, critical thinking. She then went on to develop her research skills through a master's and PhD in a technical field. Think how to analyze data and conduct research. So then she's gone on to research social and collaborative computing products at Google, Microsoft, and now Meta, where she's identifying future strategic directions. Pretty cool, from history to the future. So remember that successful college summer intern? He submitted his application online with no connection at Google. He said he felt he had a few differentiators though in his application. Coding projects he had done to benefit both his high school and a community-based organization. This is just his freshman year that he's applied. Also, working on teams and by himself to develop applications that help streamline or scale processes that had impact on the real world. Also, and this is key, having taught coding classes to younger students. His interviewer remarked on how clearly he was able to explain coding concepts. So that leads us now to key factor number 3. The ability to collaborate. Much of the work at Google is built with teams and often international teams. So folks that are aware of how different cultures approach work, give and receive feedback, and communicate directly or indirectly do well. They may eventually find themselves in leadership positions. And people who land at Google also excel at wise resource allocation. First, can you assess yourself and know what you can accomplish with the time and skills you have? Can you then scale up and do that for a team? If you don't have the time or resources or you're stuck, do you have the courage and vulnerability to open up and push back? When you interview at Google, you'll be evaluated not only on how successful you are at solving a coding problem, but also on how you talk through your thinking and how you ask questions. They really value the ability of people with hardcore tech skills to communicate. So moving on to key factor number 4, Googleyness. The former Google head of people operations, Laszlo Bock, came up with this concept. He said Google should look for the following 5 attributes in their hires: enjoying fun, intellectual humility, conscientiousness, comfort in ambiguity, and evidence that you've taken some courageous or interesting paths in your life. Google does not seek out a cookie-cutter person. Everyone brings something unique to the table that shows how they can go deep into something that intrigues them. And if you're planning to apply for a Google internship or job, here are a few tips and insider information. So you will apply to the job through the website with your resume. Use a simple single-column resume. It's easier for applicant tracking systems to read and pull data from rather than a fancy graphics-heavy resume. If you apply for an internship that requires a portfolio review like UX, that will come later in the process. If Google is interested, you'll be contacted for an interview. For a coding internship, you'll be asked to take part in 2 45-minute sessions. Each interviewer presents you with a leak code problem that you need to solve in front of them, talking through your process. You may not get everything right during the interview. What's important is that you think out loud so the interviewer understands how you analyze problems and weigh possible solutions. Be willing to ask questions and confirm that you understand what they're asking for. The hiring period falls over several months, so it may take several weeks after your interview to find out if you've made the cut. Ask when you can expect to hear back. Follow up with a friendly email only after that time has passed. So, as you can see, gaining the qualifications to work at Google starts way before you submit your resume. If you're interested in mapping out a journey to college that will help you build those skills and gain that experience, reach out for a free 30-minute consultation. We've worked with hundreds of students to gain admission to top universities in the US and internationally. We're excited to work with you and get you accepted.